The alien ship moved through space like a silent ghost. Commander Zek looked at the blue planet below with hungry eyes. His people, the Vorthak, had conquered 47 worlds. Earth would be number 48. "Sir, our stealth field is working perfectly," said Officer Krill from his control station. "The humans cannot see us." Zek smiled, showing sharp teeth. "Good. These Earth creatures are so primitive. Look at their simple cities and slow vehicles. This will be easy." The ship floated, down through the clouds. Below them stretched the Amazon rainforest, a thick green carpet that covered thousands of miles. The Vorthak had studied Earth for months. They knew humans lived in cities and feared the wild places. The jungle would be perfect for their first strike. Staff Sergeant Rick Davis wiped sweat from his face as he moved through the thick jungle. The air was hot and wet, filled with the sounds of birds and insects. Rick had been a soldier for 8 years. He knew the Amazon better than most. People knew their own backyard. His radio crackled softly on his belt. His team was spread out across 5 miles of jungle, looking for drug runners who used this area to move their cargo. It was dangerous work, but Rick loved it. The jungle felt like home to him. Something made him stop walking. The birds had gone. Quiet. Rick froze and listened. In the jungle, silence meant danger. His grandfather had taught him that during hunting trips when he was a boy. His grandfather had learned it in Vietnam, fighting in jungles just like this one. Rick looked up through the thick trees. For just a moment, he saw something that did not belong. The air seemed to bend and twist, like heat waves rising from hot pavement. But this was different. This moved with purpose. On the alien ship, Zek watched his screens with interest. There, a lone human male. He appears to be some kind of soldier. "His weapons are very primitive, sir," Krill reported. "Just a projectile rifle and basic communication device. Should we capture him for study?" "Yes. Send down 2 hunter drones. Make it quick and quiet." The hunter drones were the size of large cats, made of dark metal that seemed to absorb light. They could move without sound and had sensors that could track a target from miles away. Each one carried weapons that could stun or kill. Rick felt his skin crawl as danger signals fired in his brain. Every instinct told him to move now. He pressed his radio button twice, sending a silent alert to his team. Then he did what Rangers had done for 70 years when outnumbered and outgunned. He disappeared. The jungle swallowed Rick like he had never existed. One moment he was there. The next he was gone. Years of training kicked in automatically. His body moved low and fast, using every piece of cover the forest provided. His feet found the quiet spots between roots and rocks. His clothes blended, with shadows and leaves. "What happened?" Zek demanded, staring at his empty screen. "Where did the human go?" Krill checked his instruments frantically. "Sir, I do not understand. Our sensors show nothing. The human just vanished." "Impossible. Humans do not have stealth technology. Find him." The hunter drones spread out, their sensors scanning in all directions. They moved in perfect search patterns the way they had on dozens of other worlds. Their thermal sensors looked for body heat. Their motion detectors watched for the slightest movement. Their audio sensors listened for heartbeats and breathing, but Rick was already half a mile away, moving through the jungle like his ancestors had moved through these same forests for thousands of years. He knew which plants would mask his scent. He knew how to move so his heat signature mixed with the warm jungle air. Most importantly, he knew how to think like prey while acting like a predator. The alien drones found nothing but empty jungle. Rick stopped beside a massive tree and pulled out his satellite phone. The device was old but reliable, built to work anywhere on Earth. He typed a quick message to his commanding officer, Colonel Helen Brooks. Possible hostile contact. Unknown aircraft. With advanced stealth. Request immediate backup, position Alpha 7. He hit send and waited. The message bounced off a military satellite and reached the colonel's desk in less than 10 seconds. Colonel Brooks had been a soldier for 20 years. She had fought in Iraq, Afghanistan, and 3 other places the government did not talk about. When she read Rick's message, she did not hesitate. She knew Rick Davis. If he said there was trouble, there was trouble. She picked up her secure phone and called Captain Frank Wilson at the Special Forces base 50 miles away. Frank, I need your A-team in the air right now. We have a situation. Back in the jungle, Rick moved like a ghost among the trees. He had become part of the forest using skills that went back to the first humans who had ever hunted in dark places. The aliens had better technology, but Rick had something they could never understand. He had the jungle, and in the jungle, Rick was not the prey, he was the hunter. On the alien ship, Zek stared at his screens in confusion. His hunter drones had found nothing. The human had simply vanished into the green maze below. Sir, Krill said nervously, perhaps we should try a different approach. Maybe use more drones. Zek's eyes glowed with anger. No human makes fools of the Vorthak. Send down the battle drones. All of them. I want that jungle burned until we find him. But as the alien commander gave his orders, he made a mistake that would cost him dearly. He thought like a conqueror instead of thinking like a hunter. He did not understand that some battles are won not with better weapons, but with better knowledge of the battlefield. Rick Davis smiled in the darkness between the trees. The aliens had just declared war on the jungle. They had no idea what they were getting into. 10 battle drones dropped from the alien ship like deadly black spiders. Each one was twice the size of the hunter drones, armed with energy weapons that could cut through steel. Commander Zek watched from above as they spread out across the jungle canopy. These drones will find the human, Zek told Officer Krill. Nothing can hide from their sensors. But Rick Davis was no longer just hiding. He was studying his enemy. From his position deep in the jungle, Rick watched the drones through his binoculars. They moved in straight lines, following patterns that made sense to alien minds but ignored how the jungle actually worked. They flew over animal trails instead of following them. They scanned areas where no human would ever go. Rick smiled. These aliens were smart, but they did not understand Earth. He pulled out his field notebook and started drawing maps. Each drone had a different patrol route. Rick timed them, watching how long each one took to complete its circle. After 2 hours, he knew their schedule better than they did. The first drone died at sunset. Rick had covered himself in mud and plant matter until he looked like part of the jungle floor. He lay perfectly still under a fallen log as the drone passed overhead. When it came back on its second pass, Rick was ready. The drone flew low, its sensors sweeping the ground. Rick waited until it was directly above him, then threw his combat knife with perfect accuracy. The blade jammed into the drone's main sensor array. The machine spun wildly and crashed into a tree. Rick was on it in seconds. His knife finished what the crash had started. He pulled out the drone's power core and communication unit, then dragged the wreckage into thick bushes where it would never be found. Battle Drone 7 has stopped transmitting, Krill reported nervously. Zek's claws clicked against his command chair. Mechanical failure. Send Battle Drone 3 to investigate. But Battle Drone 3 never made it to the crash site. Rick had moved 2 miles away and was waiting beside a stream. The drone followed its programmed search pattern, flying low over the water to scan for heat signatures. Rick had learned something important about the drones. They were designed to fight in open space or on dead planets. They expected enemies to run away or fight back with energy weapons. They did not expect someone to attack from below using primitive weapons. When the drone passed over the stream, Rick was underwater, breathing through a hollow reed. As the machine hovered above the water, Rick exploded upward like a crocodile, attacking prey. His hands grabbed the drone's landing struts and his weight pulled it down into the shallow water. The drone's energy weapons fired wildly, but they could not target something attached to their own hull. Rick held on as the machine thrashed like an angry animal. Water and sparks flew everywhere. Finally, the drone's circuits shorted out, and it went dead. Rick pulled the second drone into the jungle and stripped it for parts. Now he had 2 power cores, communication units, and most importantly, he was starting to understand how alien technology worked. On the ship, Zek stared at his tactical display in disbelief. 2 red X marks showed where his battle drones had been destroyed. "This is impossible," he snarled. The human has no advanced weapons. How is he destroying our drones? Krill checked his readings again. Sir, the drones just disappear. No, energy weapon signatures. No explosions. They just stop working. Send 4 drones to the last known position of Battle Drone 3. Work together this time. But Rick was already gone. He had learned the aliens' biggest weakness. They thought, like machines following logical patterns. But the jungle was not logical. It was alive, always changing, full of surprises. Rick moved through the forest like his Comanche great-grandfather had moved across the plains. Every step was silent. Every breath was controlled. He became part of the ecosystem, invisible too, sensors designed to find metal and energy signatures. The 4 drones arrived at the stream in perfect formation. Their sensors found the spot where Battle Drone 3 had crashed, but nothing else. They spread out in a grid pattern, scanning every inch of jungle. Rick watched them from a tree branch 60 feet above their heads. The aliens never thought to look up. He had rigged a trap using vines and one of the power cores he had taken. When the lead drone passed under his tree, Rick dropped the vine net. The weighted net tangled the drone's rotors and sent it crashing to the ground. The other 3 drones immediately converged on the crash site, their weapons charging. But Rick was already moving. He swung from vine to vine like his ancestors had moved through these same trees for thousands of years. The second drone died when Rick dropped onto it from above, driving his knife into its control center. The third drone spun to target him, but Rick rolled under a fallen log. The energy beam cut the log in half but missed Rick completely. The fourth drone tried to retreat, but Rick had anticipated this. He threw a chunk of alien power core like a grenade. The device exploded in a shower of sparks, disabling the drone's flight systems. It fell into the jungle canopy and was gone. Back on the ship, Zek watched 6 more red X marks appear on his tactical display. Out of 10 battle drones, only 4 remained functional. "Sir," Krill whispered, "perhaps we should retreat. This human is not normal." Zek's eyes burned with rage. "No, one primitive human will not defeat the Vorthak Empire. Prepare the assault troops. We go down there ourselves." But Rick Davis was no longer the same soldier who had been walking patrol that morning. He had alien technology now. He understood their weaknesses. Most importantly, he was no longer alone. His satellite phone buzzed with an incoming message. Captain Frank Wilson and his Special Forces team had arrived at the staging area. They were coming to help. The aliens wanted a war in the jungle. Rick smiled in the darkness. They were about to get one. Captain Frank Wilson crouched in the jungle darkness, listening to Rick Davis explain what they were fighting. Around them, 5 of the best Special Forces soldiers in the world prepared for a battle unlike any they had ever faced. "The aliens. Think in straight lines," Rick whispered, showing them pieces of the destroyed drones. "They use patterns we can predict. But they have weapons that can cut through anything and armor that stops bullets." Sergeant Tony Martinez examined an alien power core with expert eyes. He was the team's explosives specialist, a man who could make a bomb from household items. "This thing has more energy than a car battery," he said quietly. "I can work with this." Staff Sergeant Kevin Brown was their sniper, a man who could hit targets from over a mile away. He studied the drone wreckage through his scope. "Their sensors are good, but they scan in predictable sweeps. I can time the gaps." Sergeant First Class Maria Santos was their medic and communications expert. She had already established contact with headquarters and was coordinating with satellites overhead. "Colonel Brooks is sending more teams, but they won't arrive for 6 hours. We're on our own until then." The last member of the team was Sergeant Dan Parker, their reconnaissance specialist. He had been moving through the jungle for the past hour, mapping alien positions with thermal imaging equipment. "I count 12 heat signatures on their ship," he reported. "Looks like they're preparing to come down here personally." Frank nodded. He had fought terrorists in Afghanistan, cartels in Colombia, and pirates in Somalia. But this was different. This was Earth's first real war with another species. "Here's what we're going to do," Frank said. "We turn this jungle into a nightmare. for anything that doesn't belong here. 20 minutes later, Commander Zek stood in the alien ship's armory, putting on his personal battlesuit. The armor was black as space, powered by fusion cells, and equipped with weapons that could level buildings. Behind him, 11 Vorthak warriors prepared for combat. "This ends now," Zek growled. "We go down there and crush these humans like insects." The Vorthak were proud of their warrior tradition. They had conquered civilizations across the galaxy by being stronger, faster, and better armed than their enemies. They had never met opponents who refused to fight fair. They were about to learn. The first trap was Tony's masterpiece. He had buried alien power cores under a narrow jungle path, rigging them to explode when stepped on. The blast would be strong, enough to crack even alien armor. Kevin positioned himself in a tree platform 300 yards away, his rifle trained on the landing zone. The alien weapons might be powerful, but they still had to see their targets to hit them. Maria set up communication relays throughout the jungle, allowing the team to coordinate without using radios that the aliens could intercept. She also prepared medical supplies, knowing this fight would be brutal. Dan scattered motion sensors and tripwires throughout the forest, creating an early warning network that would tell them exactly where the aliens were at all times. Rick took the most dangerous job. He would be the bait, drawing the aliens into the team's traps. The Vorthak landed like falling stars, their armor glowing hot from atmospheric entry. They touched down in a small clearing, weapons ready, sensors scanning for human life signs. "Spread out," Zek commanded. "Find the humans, kill them all." But as soon as they left their landing zone, the jungle came alive around them. The first Vorthak warrior stepped on Tony's buried mine. The explosion threw him 20 feet through the air. His armor cracked and smoking. He was still alive, but barely. Kevin's rifle cracked from his hidden position. The bullet could not penetrate alien armor, but it did not have to. It struck the damaged warrior's helmet visor, spiderwebbing the transparent material, and blinding. Dan's motion sensors told the team exactly where each alien was moving. The humans used this information to stay one step ahead, always attacking from unexpected angles. Rick appeared and disappeared like a ghost, firing a few shots before melting back into the jungle. Each time the aliens turned to pursue him, they walked into another trap. The second warrior fell into a pit lined with sharpened stakes. The stakes could not pierce his armor, but they held him trapped while Tony dropped a rigged power core into the hole. The explosion finished what the pit had started. "This is impossible," Zek roared, firing his energy weapon at Shadows. "How are primitives defeating us?" Kevin answered by putting a bullet through Zek's weapon, destroying its focusing crystal. The commander's most powerful tool became useless scrap metal. The battle raged for 2 hours. The aliens had superior technology, but the humans had superior tactics. Every tree could hide a sniper. Every path could contain a bomb. Every shadow could conceal an enemy. Maria coordinated the chaos, telling each team member where to go and what to do. Her voice was calm and professional as she guided them through the most important fight in human history. "Kevin, alien approaching your position from the east. Dan, I need eyes on the landing zone. Tony, prepare explosive trap at grid reference 7 Alpha. The aliens began to panic. They were used to fighting enemies who stood in the open and traded shots. They did not know how to fight opponents who attacked like animals, using the environment as a weapon. One by one, the Vorthak warriors fell. Some died from explosions. Others were picked off by Kevin's precise shooting. Several simply disappeared into the jungle, never to be seen again. Finally, only Commander Zek remained. His armor was damaged, his weapons destroyed, his warriors dead or missing. He stood alone in a jungle that seemed to whisper with hidden threats. Rick stepped out of the shadows, his rifle pointed at the alien commander's head. Behind him, the rest of the team emerged from concealment, surrounding Zek completely. "Your invasion is over," Rick said quietly. "Tell your people that Earth is not defenseless. Tell them that humans are not easy prey." Zek looked at the muddy, tired soldiers who had destroyed his elite force. They should have been primitive savages, easy to conquer. Instead, they had fought like demons, and won against impossible odds. For the first time in his life, Commander Zek felt fear. "What are you?" he whispered. Rick smiled, showing teeth as dangerous as any alien warriors. "We're humans, and this is our world." Commander Zek stood in the jungle surrounded by human soldiers, his mighty invasion force reduced to scrap metal and memories. Above him, his ship waited in the sky, but it might as well have been on another planet. He was trapped on a world that had turned his technology against him. "Your choice is simple," Captain Frank Wilson told the alien commander. "You can die here in this jungle, or you can go back to your people and tell them what happened." Zek's translator device crackled as it processed human speech. "You would let me live? After I tried to conquer your world?" Rick Davis stepped forward, still covered in mud and alien blood. "We're not like you. We don't kill prisoners, but we want you to deliver a message." The alien commander looked at these strange creatures who had defeated his army with primitive weapons and clever tactics. His warrior training told him to fight to the death, but his survival instincts were stronger. "What message?" Zek asked. "Tell your empire that Earth is protected," Frank said. "Tell them that humans are not prey animals. Tell them that anyone who comes here looking for an easy conquest will find only death in our jungles." Maria Santos was already working on her communication equipment, recording everything for military intelligence. This first contact would be studied for generations. Every word, every detail would be analyzed by scientists and generals. "We could have killed you all," Kevin Brown said from his sniper position. "Your warriors never even saw us coming. Remember that when you talk to your leaders." Zek felt something he had never experienced before: respect for his enemies. These humans were not just primitive savages. They were intelligent predators who had turned his own advantages against him. "How?" he asked. "How did you defeat us so easily?" Tony Martinez laughed, a sound that seemed to echo through the jungle. "You came to our world and tried to fight us using our rules. Bad mistake." Dan Parker emerged from the shadows, his reconnaissance gear showing the positions of every piece of alien technology in the area. "You aliens think war is about having the biggest guns and the strongest armor. You fight like machines." "But humans fight like humans," Rick added. "We adapt. We learn. We use everything around us as a weapon. This jungle has been our teacher for thousands of years." The alien ship descended slowly, its engines whining as it prepared to retrieve its commander. The surviving Vorthak crew members were terrified. They had monitored the battle from orbit, watching their elite warriors disappear one by one into the green hell below. "My people will want to know about your weaknesses," Zek said, trying to regain some dignity. "They will study this defeat and return with better weapons." Frank Wilson smiled, but there was no humor in it. "Let them come. We'll be ready." As the alien ship landed, Rick pulled out a small device he had built from salvaged drone parts. "This is a gift for your empire," he said, handing it to Zek. "It contains everything we learned about your technology. Your weapons, your armor, your sensors. All of it." Zek stared at the device in confusion. "Why would you give this to us?" "Because we want you to understand something," Maria said. "We figured out your technology in 6 hours. 6 hours. Your 1,000-year-old empire's best equipment, and we cracked it in less than a day. Now imagine what we'll build when we have years to prepare," Kevin added. "Imagine what weapons we'll create when we know you're coming." The alien commander felt cold fear crawl up his spine. These humans were not just fighters. They were engineers, scientists, innovators. They took his people's technology and made it better. "Go home, Zek," Rick said. "Tell your empire that Earth is off limits. Tell them that humans are not victims waiting to be conquered. We are predators, and this is our hunting ground." As the alien ship prepared to leave, Tony handed Zek one final gift: a small wooden carving of a human soldier. "Something to remember us by," he said with a grin. The ship lifted off, carrying Commander Zek away from the jungle that had destroyed his invasion force. As Earth shrank below him, Zek composed his report to the Vorthak High Command. Target world designation: Earth. Species human. Invasion result total failure. Recommendation: avoid at all costs. He paused, thinking about the soldiers who had defeated him so completely. Additional note: humans are apex predators. They do not fight like any species we have encountered. They use their environment as a weapon. They adapt faster than our computers can calculate. They show mercy to enemies but no mercy to invaders. Classification change requested. Earth to be marked as Forbidden Zone. Any contact with humans should be considered extremely hazardous. The message was transmitted across the galaxy at faster than light speed. Within days, every major alien civilization knew about the small blue planet where primitive humans had destroyed an entire Vorthak invasion force. Back on Earth, Rick Davis sat in a military briefing room, telling his story to a room full of generals and scientists. Outside, the jungle continued its eternal dance of life and death, unaware that it had just saved the world. "The aliens will be back," General Patricia Hayes said after hearing the report. "Maybe not the same species, but others will come. We need to be ready." "We will be," Rick replied. "The jungle taught us how to fight one enemy. It can teach us how to fight 1,000. Colonel Helen Brooks leaned forward. "What do you need?" Frank Wilson answered for his team. "Time, resources, and more soldiers who understand that the best weapon is not always the most advanced one." "You'll have whatever you need," the general promised. "This is a new kind of war, and you've shown us how to fight it." 6 months later, the first reports reached Earth from deep space monitoring stations. Alien ships were avoiding the solar system entirely, taking longer routes to bypass the dangerous world where humans lived. Rick Davis smiled as he read the intelligence report. He was back in the jungle, training a new generation of soldiers in the ancient art of warfare. The trees whispered around him, full of secrets that only humans could understand. Earth was safe. The jungle had spoken, and the galaxy had listened. The message was clear. Here be humans, proceed at your own risk.